No, pick up. The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
I think basketball in New York City, is synonymous.
Black culture and basketball was a powerful thing in New York.
I was fortunate enough to live not far from Rucker Park, so some of those images that many people see, people climbing in the trees, being on the roofs, being on the fence, that was me. That was my summer.
People here in Harlem, they really know good basketball.
To me, they just presented an opportunity that there is life outside of the neighborhood.
And I think if you really look at the history of the game, I do think, it's New York City, Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball. I think that's because the game really grew and was born out of New York City. That's where its roots were really established.
You used basketball to where it took you off the street, so to speak, and put you in college, and you were able to get a degree or a skill to where you can make money, even if you're not in the NBA. It saved lives.
So to actually see people on television that you can touch and feel in your neighborhood playing a sport that is pretty common for us to play.
Basketball has been a blessing in the black community, although it was invented by a white man, Dr. James Naismith, that's from Canada. It's amazing that black men and women have been able to do so much with it. God bless Mr. Naismith, and God bless basketball.
Let's use this moment as a call to action for all professional athletes to educate ourselves, explore these issues, speak up, use our influence, and renounce all violence.
What I think is wonderful about today's play, there's a social consciousness and a recognition and an acknowledgement. They understand that there was a path that they followed, and they know that that's all a result of the men who have come before them.
The Harlem Wrens, great John Isaac. So I was fortunate enough, again, being around John and listening to him talk about the history, talk about the journey that him and his teammates went through. Racism was very, very prominent in the United States. Traveling on buses, going from city to city where you're not welcome, you can't get a hot meal, you have to do different things just to take care of your basic needs, and then go out there and bust somebody's behind. And then that was the satisfaction, because they knew they would win. They come back, how you like me now, as they rode out of town. I remember John saying we would go anywhere to play anybody, if that's how confident we were in our abilities to play this sport.
It's awe-inspiring. I think they won 2,381 games and lost, 381. Their success on the court, obviously is unmatched. They were beating white teams so badly that, again, whites didn't want to see, just like with the Negro Leagues and Barnstorming in baseball, they didn't want to see their heroes getting beat because there was still a sense of superiority. John Wooden, the great John Wooden, who he praised on the Wrens, saying that this is how the game should be played. Think of today's Golden State Warriors, a team that aesthetically is just a beautiful team. Basketball, movement, passing. The Wrens, established that.
We've always had this imprint in the game around expressing and demonstrating our craft in a way that was entertaining. And I just find it ironic when you look back then to now, the way halftime shows are performing, and you see you get entertainment, you get the musicians and the rappers.
Bob Douglas really is the vanguard, because the Renaissance Ballroom, he said, hey, we'll give you publicity by bringing a basketball team in by playing games. So they had basketball games and dances in the ballroom. And so, he melded, marketing and advertising and entertainment and was the first to do that. So what we see today in the NBA, Bob Douglas did that in the 20s.
So then when the Knicks came about, they called themselves the Knickerbockers, and they went many years with just white players out there. And I just find this ironic that the Boston Celtics were the first NBA team to actually draft an African American, Cooper. And then that same year, Washington had Earl Lloyd. The Knicks ended up with Nat Sweetwater Clifton.
I was the first of our race to play in the NBA, okay? That helps some?
When they won the championship, '69, okay, that's when New York was ablaze with that in that year, really. And then in '72, '73, they won one championship and then lost the other, but they were in the finals. And so you went from that, and then you had a mixture of black and white players, but you had legendary people, the Bill Bradleys and so forth. Then you lost that, so you went through a dark period because those players got aged out.
The post-championship years, when the Knicks increasingly became a team that had few white players, predominantly black players, that '79 roster coming into the season, they had 2 white players on the roster. Both of those players were cut. And so they came into the season with an all-black team.
From the star to the bench player was black, and that had never been done before.
But I remember thinking that was cool, but I also remember hearing people say, oh, the team is terrible, there's a bunch of niggas playing out there, let's call them the Knickerbockers. And actually, I was a little disappointed because one of the white players that they cut, I was a fan of his because he played hard, he had a little fro. Expression, the Knickerbockers started to emerge. Playing the Detroit Pistons, both teams had starting lineups of all black players out there. I believe there was one white player on Detroit who didn't get playing time. And I just remember telling my pops, I'm like, wow, look, we got a whole bunch of black guys out there.
There was a lot of letters written to a lot of the New York writers, journalists, Pete Vesey in particular, that published some of the letters. And so this clearly was a backlash. And we're talking 1979, and you think that the city of New York and the fans had someone move beyond that, but clearly they weren't ready for that. And in fact, Willis Reed even said that he didn't think that the Knicks were ready for an all-black team, and suggested that maybe they should have kept at least one white player on the team.
And again, you had Red Holtzman during the glory years of the Knicks, who was the head coach and had decided these were the players I want. And he had a white general manager, Billy Donovan. So you had 2 white decision makers who fielded an all-black team because in their minds, they were the best talent to put on that court.
Give me that mustard in the kitchen with the guava, ain't no fear. Mama told me she ain't had no crystal stare. Give me that mustard in the kitchen with the guava, ain't no fear. Mama told me she ain't had no crystal stare. We just came together. I don't understand how I just look back and smile, it can't get no better. I'm feeling the force, I'm walking through doors, too much to cherish. Must be living the dream, the one I was seen generationally. On my face you will see a vacation for more reservations, the beat we get free. Clap your hands if you know you're gonna hit your target. You're gonna hit your target. You're gonna hit your target. Put your hands up in the air. Nobody gonna stop you. Nobody gonna stop you. Nobody gonna stop you.